Let me see. I'm trying to figure out how do I send a check, 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 check. Mama Bear, you in here? Hey, if you see a link, Mom, hey, push the link. I don't know if there's a link in the. Let me see real quick. Let me see if I can actually add you. I don't know if Mama Bear wants to come in here. If you got a link, let me see if I can send the link to you, Mom, and then you got to press the link. We're gonna do an interview with Mom. No link in the chat. I send the link through text message, but let's see if she can get it. Waiting for guest. This would be a cool little interview because this is somebody that you know, raised the savage, and we're gonna get her side of view of different things. How you guys doing? What up, Corey? How you doing? Let's see if I can get this going. Um, I don't have StreamYard minutes right now. I got to pay for some StreamYard minutes, or I would be doing it on StreamYard. So this is, there we go. Let's see. Hello? What's going on? How you doing?
Hi.
Wow, this is kind of cool because
It is.
I didn't know you can actually
It wouldn't let me get on first.
I didn't know you actually could stream without actually having a YouTube channel. So it was something that I was actually trying to see the process of. Hey, what up, Raider Band? Mall High Salute. Um, I was trying to see pretty much if you would be able to do it because you never did YouTube or anything. So I didn't know if you
Mhm.
could go off an account. So how
That's
you
pretty
doing?
cool.
What up,
I'm
Derek?
good.
Mall High Salute to everybody. Mall High Salute to all the riders. So let
Mhm.
me introduce, you know what I'm saying? This is my queen, the one that raised me. This is Mama Bear. Um, what do you go by? What do you go by? Like, what do you want everybody to know you by? Mama Bear? Or what do you want?
Yeah, just call me Mama Bear.
So,
You're funny.
how you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
good.
Seems like I ain't talked to you in a minute. How it's going?
It's going good. I'm good. I'm blessed. And I just got off the phone with you, which mean you haven't talked to me for a
I'm
minute.
saying there was like a because I was thinking that we should actually do this because a lot of individuals on these formats like to hear stories. They know my
Yeah.
story. Um, one thing I could say about Mom and Mama Bear on that introducing you guys is that you know my whole life she kept us in prayer. So, a lot of people I talk to on here, they know that I'm a spiritual man. Oh, yeah, we got to shut that off. But you always kept us in prayer. You were always an individual that kept your sons in prayer, right?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. That was very important and very needed. 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 I got to get my charger, son, or it's going to die. We don't want that to happen. Don't want my phone to die.
Mama Bear, take down some chubbies for me. I'm stuck on the East Coast. Hey, she's original. She knew all the good restaurants, all the good restaurants, Chubby's, the old school creamery,
Oh
Um,
yeah.
hello, look at Lady Seven, the building. That's a what's an amazing situation to be truthful is that you know, your guys' relationship, you and Lady Seb's relationship, you guys, are like this,
That's
and
that's my daughter.
you know.
Usually when your sons get married, you gain a daughter-in-law. I gained a daughter, not a
I got you.
daughter-in-law. So it's funny because when we're all three of us are together, I'll introduce my people to my son and his wife. And this is my son John, and this is my daughter Jaylyn, and then they know that they're a couple, and they're like, "What kind of family is this?"
So yeah, it's the wordplay. You know how people run off with it too. They'll think something else, and they'll be like, "What? Did she just say that's the son and daughter? The son?" So people get confused. Um,
Yep, they
yeah.
do.
So
Okay.
are you in a stable place right now? You can
Yeah, I'm
tell
just
me.
putting the I gotta connect this in here. Give me 1 second, son. Okay.
Now you're good. So yeah, man, chat. Like I've been wanting to do this because me and my mom, like everybody knows, I always talk about mom, and um, one thing I can say, no matter what I was doing, no matter the aspect of gang banging, no matter my deepest time, no matter when I was on that prison yard and I was, doing time alone, mom was always in the corner. My mom has been my dad. My mom has been every ounce of support. And, you know, um, therefore for a big time frame, as a young man, I was very defiant, and I never. At one time, our relationship was good, but at another time, it was we didn't see eye to eye. So, um, getting out and seeing different things when I got out and seeing who was in my corner. That's why I always talk about this to the youngsters and even the gang aspect. You'll always have people that say they'll be in your life, especially with gangs, but the real people are always sitting there. The real people are always the ones that are going to show by action. Now, mom, she might say something to you that you don't agree with because you think you're a grown man, but genuine it's always for a genuine situation. It's always for because she really has love. And that's kind of where I had to stop putting love into things that didn't love me back and putting love into stuff that really, you know what I'm saying, love me back and had genuine support for me. Um, so let's start off with it. Where you from originally?
Me?
Yeah, where you from originally? Give some people
Um,
some
so I'm
rundown.
from East Denver by the Five Points area, Curtis Park, 27th and Arapahoe. I was born there. We had a little grocery store, my grandfather's grocery store, Tim Cisneros. Everybody knew it as Tim's, but it was called National Grocery. So basically, I grew up there, and you know, John's father got involved with John's father, had John, and then got married. That didn't work out, and then I was raising my three kids as a single mom, and we moved to Lakewood, and I've never left Lakewood since. So I've been here for
So
a long time.
like because you had to play mom role and father role, like um did that have like a big effect on you, like raising us? Like was it what kind of experience was not having our pops in our life? What kind of experience it was with you and trying to be a young individual raising kids? Like how did that affect you? Because like I never asked that question, and I always wanted to know, how did that really affect you? I only can come from, seeing what I seen without a father, but how did that affect you?
Well, being a mom, I can say this, real talk. You can never be a father now to a son or a daughter because I'm a female, and so there are only so many things that a female can guide their children into this world. And no matter, even, I used to do that because my kids used to tell me happy Father's Day, happy Mother's Day. You were my mom and my dad. But, this year, God really put in my heart, like, you've never been their father. Now, trying to take the role of a father, trying to, fill in that gap, that's different. It was hard, because there's only certain things that a mom can do and a mom can give to their children. um, I couldn't teach my boys how to be a man because I'm not a man to teach that. You know what I mean? So it was hard because they didn't have that positive role model in their life. They didn't have a positive role model, a male role model in their life. And then, whatever transpired from that, that's why that happened.
So
But it was difficult.
do you remember because I can pinpoint like me, but do you remember when you first started seeing the effects of like not having a father figure, like when the gang aspect came in and you started really seeing, you know, especially because I'm the oldest. Do you
Hmm.
remember like when you started really seeing that transpire onto my life, and like
Yeah.
how did you like feel about that aspect at
It
first?
was
Like,
it was heartbreaking, because first of all, the abilities that you had, the talents you had, you know, um, you were a runner. You were a runner. You were athletically, gifted. You were athletically gifted, and so, my dreams and hopes for you was to go to college, and play. Maybe one day I could see you seriously playing for the Broncos, because
see,
of.
and tell these people I don't fabricate. I was a diehard Bronco
Oh
fan
my
when I
gosh.
was a baby. I came out as a Bronco fan. There's no fabrication in that. There was nothing ever else in my life but Broncos country.
Yes. John was he was a diehard. I mean, his wall, his wall in his bedroom, he had newspaper clippings from point A to point Z. I mean, it looked like somebody got Bronco paint and painted all the news clippings. That's what his room looked like. He had nothing but Bronco material. He had flags. He had pins. He had jerseys. I mean, he loved the Broncos, and he's been Bronco Bronco diehard ever since he was little, as far as I can remember.
Yeah,
We would have the family get together and watch the Bronco games. He was right there, 3 years old, cheering, and I'm sure he didn't understand the whole aspect of football at that, but the
yeah.
enthusiasm, it was right there.
I
He
remember
does
seeing
not fabricate. When he says that he's a Bronco diehard, trust and believe he's a Bronco diehard.
pictures because I like so you got to understand something about our family, the Cisneros family. We had these carts that we used to actually my family used to go out there and sell burritos, mama's
Mhm.
burritos, and I can remember being with my mom with a beanie on, and I had a football in my hand, and like it was just embedded in me, and that's just kind of how it was just like over the years it just embedded. So
Mhm.
there's no
Yeah.
fabrication. I didn't come in when Peyton Manny was here. I was way before Peyton Manny.
Oh yeah. And not only that, you picked up a football. I mean, we knew that you had a good arm. You picked up a football at 6 months, and you threw it. You threw it to your dad, because at that time your dad and I were still together. You threw it. You threw it to your dad, but it was just the way you threw it with your little hand, and it was like, whoa, you know. And we knew that you were going to be very good in sports,
Yeah,
baseball, any sports there was, you were participating in it. I don't know about boxing. I don't remember you really doing boxing, but football, basketball, soccer, track. Oh man, track. Don't even get me started on track.
yeah.
You know,
So getting back to the initial question, so basically you started seeing it, and like when what it was about elementary aspect, you would say about the gang aspect, or when do
I,
you remember like
I really remember you getting involved in all this stuff was probably closer to 13. Now, you probably were already contemplating or thinking about it, kind of getting your feet wet, involved in that kind of in towards that direction. But really, I started seeing it around 13.
13. And how did
Really, really
like
13.
as a because I know for the longest I know you embedded us in church, and that's one thing I can say about moms. She always kept us in church. She always kept that aspect around us. And I never really got to ask, how did you how did you feel about like seeing that aspect of your son? Pretty much, you were trying to lead him down the right road, but then the gang aspect, like as a single mom, how did that make you feel? Like, did how did it have an effect on you?
Well, no mom, I don't really think, unless they're, moms are gang affiliated anyway and still actively a part of that lifestyle. I don't really even think any mom has a dream of saying, dang, when my son grows up, I want him to be a serious crip. You know, you have other dreams and hopes for your kid because, as a person, individual, you hear it on the news, you see the media, everything about it. I grew up in the East Side, so there was Crips, there was Bloods, there was everything. And you had Brick City. So the thing about it is, you hear about shootings here and shootings there, and you don't want your kids involved in that. So it was hard because knowing that you were part of something that I did not feel was conducive or healthy for you, or any of my kids, your brother, your sister, any of them. I think a mom's worst fear is getting that call in the middle of the night. And I was very fortunate and blessed, but I really believe that prayer played a big part in praying for you, because I want to tell them about that incident.
Yeah, go ahead.
One night, John was already in his rebellious stage, so he was out and about, and something woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was already sleeping, and something woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not even going to say something, it was God. And God said, start praying for your son.
That's
And
that's the power. She's telling you guys right here. She heard a voice 2 o'clock in the morning, woke her out of her dead sleep, and it said, "Pray for your son." And you remember it clear. You remember like
yeah,
clear voice.
it wasn't like audible voice, it was in my spirit. But you still hear that still small voice. When you have a connection with God, you're going to hear his voice, whether it's audible. Now, I have heard God's voice 3 times in my lifetime, in my walk with him, audible. But in my spirit, it said, pray for your son. I started praying for you. And as I started praying for you, this fear came over me,
Dang.
and I just started crying. I'm like, Father, I don't know what's going on. Please, 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 like, please protect John. Something. I felt danger. And I got done praying, and I get a call about an hour later, and this police officer says, this is Officer So. We have your son, John Cisneros. Just want to let you know he's okay, but tonight he got a gun put to his head. And that probably was around the time that I got woken up dead out of my sleep to pray for my son. So, my encouragement is to anybody, do not stop praying for your loved ones. Do not stop praying for your loved ones, because, um, hold on, I'm sorry. Um, because prayer is powerful. There's power in prayer. There is power in prayer, and God hears people's prayers. And with that in mind, he escaped that gunshot. I could have been one of those moms that were burying my son, at the age of, I don't even remember how old you were
So
at that time.
to give you guys a rough draft, there was a party we were at, and pretty much some situation happened, and some fools came over there, kicked down the door, and the fool actually walked me with the pistol and tried to actually sit me
Thank you.
down,
Have a
me
good
and
day.
the homie. They try to actually put us on the ground. And luckily, some way, I seen the door and I jetted out the door and I slammed it. And this fool actually came busting out, and that's what incident she's talking about.
Yeah.
Um, Was there ever a time frame like that you can remember where stuff was just getting out of control for your, for your boys, and you really thought that that it might be the situation that we died to the streets, that you seen with your own physical eyes? Like, was there ever a time when stuff was just out of control? And like, how as a mom, because I never really got to speak with you on this type of level, because it's son mom, you know how it goes. But
Yeah.
I would like to know myself, was there ever a time that you was like fearful of that happening, like that you can remember?
Yeah. I think the time when we were at the pool hall, and me, I never take stuff serious. John, we went down to play pool. This was in Edgewater. You remember that? This was in Edgewater,
That
and it
Right
was
up there by Sloan's Lake.
cousin Michael. Cousin Michael was with us, and I don't remember if your brother was with us. It was me, you, and I don't remember who else,
Yeah,
but I remember.
I remember that night though, and yeah, I remember. I think
And they were like, "You got to get out of here." And at first, I was like, "Oh yes, yeah, whatever." But no, it got serious, and I wasn't like. I think Steven even pulled up. So everybody got out of there. But you just don't know what's going to pop up when I started listening to him. And when your kids are involved in gangs, you're also connected to that, because it's not just them that they're after. They'll come after family members.
exactly.
You hear about it all the time. Innocent family members that are not even affiliated with that lifestyle, and they'll go after the family members because they know it's the people that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt that person.
And there's
The
been
other
many. Oh, go ahead, mom. My bad.
the other situation was when we was at Burger King, and that was just a mild thing. I don't think that had really anything to transpire, but I really thought something bad was gonna
Let let
you
us
know
let's talk
was
about
gonna
that.
happen.
Talk about
Okay.
that little scenario.
So John and I were in Burger King. It was the one right there by the Auraria campus. And my nephew Michael, he was talking on the phone with his girlfriend. And I'm really looking at him, and he's just going off. And then all of a sudden he's looking in a different direction. And I told John, I says, "Gosh, Michael's really going off on, his girl." John took one look, popped up off the bench in Burger King and ran outside, pulled out a switchblade. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I thought like there was going to be like a real bad situation. And then, I ran out and I'm like, stop in the name of Jesus, stop. We
Yeah,
all ended up praying. But seriously, you don't, as a parent, like you're like stunned, you're stunned. And then when you got shot, you know, we didn't know what happened. All I heard was, sit down. I got to tell you something. Your son was shot. He was shot in the heart. You know, and so you don't really know how to act or how to react to something like that.
yeah,
You know, um, the situation that when you did get shot, then they came by next door and shot at Alex's house or whatever his name was, thinking that we lived there. So you're always looking around because you don't know, especially like when me being with you guys, you never know as a parent what's going to pop off, who's looking around, who's going to be there, who is he going to get in a fight with. So it's heartbreaking because that's not the plan that I wanted to see. I wanted to see you allow God to do something, even from coming from that lifestyle, witnessing to youngsters to let them know like this is not something, that you should be involved in. Plus, when your child gets locked up, your kid gets locked up, I don't drive. It wasn't a weekend visit every weekend to be able to
mhm,
see him. I was blessed to get the ride to go visit him in prison. And then that sucks because, you're allowed to hug your child one time
yeah,
and that's it. You can't sit, you have to sit across from them, and you get an hour, maybe about an hour, whatever the time visit is, visiting your kid in prison, hoping that when they get out, you know so it's fearful.
yeah,
It's fearful being a mom, you know And like I said, like unless you're a mom that's a gang member yourself, then you bring your kids up in that lifestyle and your kid gets shot or gets killed, that's on you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And
But my hopes and dreams was that you allowed God to do something in your life and use you, you know?
yeah, and it's what I can say is like with me doing prison time and everything, and that stretch that I was gone. You know, one thing I could say about mom is that she came all the way from the Denver area, and if you know anything about Canyon City, it's like 4 or 5 hours away, and she was over there, she was up there on a regular basis, like, and that effect just having the aspect of her son, because you got to understand, I caught my case, went to go do time, and then her daughter, my younger sister, she gets news that my younger sister just had a baby. My sister is still, she was a teenager at the time, right? Baby sis.
Oh,
Then
that's not even the whole thing of it. Okay. So your situation all in one day. This is this and it's totally God that I'm still here. But the day that you guys got arrested, okay, you guys got arrested, I got arrested, and then
oh
I
yes,
came home
because
and
Mama Bear was at the house when the cops pulled up to initially
oh,
arrest
not the cops, just the cops. It was the SWAT team.
the
They
SWAT
had
team.
pierced 26th and pierced, all blocked off. I had no idea we were supposed to get we were supposed to renew the Section 8. We had a house supposed to be, they were coming to do the Section 8 inspection. And, that whole situation popped off. You guys got arrested that night. I got arrested that night. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm the only thing I'm like in my room working out. Here comes the SWAT team. And they John went out first, Michael went out, your brother went out, and I come out and I'm on the phone with the police officer, and the lady police officer, she's screaming her head off at me, and I'm like, I'm on the phone with the sergeant, and John's like, "Mom, please." I was real naive. I was raised in a real strict home, so I wasn't out there on the streets and know like how cops handle people. But I've had some bad experience with cops. But anyway, John's like, "Please, Mom, they'll shoot you. Just do what they say." So,
Hey, they
I
took
had to
they
get
took me, they took Mama Bear, and she didn't know anything, and they made us all go in the front of the house. They walked us out backwards, and they were on the phone directing. So mom got in the, she was in the middle. She didn't even know what was going on.
yeah, she bum rushed me. I'm like, do you really have to put those handcuffs on me so hard? I've never been arrested in my life. So anyway, the next day, my stepmom passes away, and that's when my daughter, about a half hour before we got the news that my stepmom passed away, my daughter announces that she's pregnant. I'm like, what the heck?
So so
It
everything just
couldn't get
came
any worse.
bearing down on everything came bearing down on you, and you wanted to scream because it's just, I mean, what's going on in life? Like you couldn't even comprehend it.
Plus, I lost my house. We lost the house. The landlord said I was going to go ahead and renew another year, but all this stuff came down, so you got to move out. So I had to be out within like 10 days,
Mm.
literally.
So our like that's why I try to tell the youngsters, our actions had a domino effect on my mom getting kicked out of her house.
Yeah.
So youngsters, your actions will have an effect on your immediate people.
Hmm.
It can cause death to people by your actions. In my
Yep.
mom's case, she lost her sons, she lost her house, and it was just a total pressure on her neck. Um, so
Yeah.
how did you deal with that aspect after? Like, what was the next steps? Like, what took place?
Oh, how I dealt with that was a lot of email. And what I mean, like a lot of email is a lot of prayer.
Prayer.
I was in prayer because my worst, hearing like stories from people that go to prison. Oh man, that you don't sleep for days. Now you have real love for your kids, especially like dudes and like your daughter. My daughter never went to prison, thank God. But I've lost both of my sons at the same time. They got sentenced to other places. Plus, they were out of state. It wasn't just here in Colorado. They got transferred to other facilities. John did. My youngest got put in iOS, so he was there for 6 years. He went in as a teenager. And let me tell you something. I don't know if there's any youngsters on here. You think the prison life is it's not anything compared to how they make it sound. It's a whole new world in there.
Yeah.
You don't have no freedom.
Yeah.
But a mother's worst nightmare is like, is your child going to survive it? Because you hear of these stories that take place. You hear of men getting raped, and there ain't nothing you could do about it. You can't save your kid. You can't pay nobody to save your kid. They're on their own and they got to
Yeah.
survive. And
And I
so
said this
your
in the
only
video.
hope is God.
I said this in a video. You youngsters thinking you big boys, when you go behind them walls, there's no calling on mama. You're not gonna be able to call on mama. Mama ain't coming to save you. Parents ain't coming to save you. You're in there with grown men that don't
Yep.
have nothing to live for. So
Yep.
now you have to grow fast. And what she's saying is she wanted to protect her sons and be able to
Yep.
come and bring them out that situation, but she had her wrist tied, you know?
Yeah. There's nothing I could do. It was out of my hands. The only thing you can do is, and if you have the money to do it, you can put money on their books, write letters, but that the holidays, you're away from your home, you're away from your family,
Mm,
you know, and so it was just really hard. It was
yeah.
really, really hard, you know.
And I didn't see my mom for almost 7 years, really. I didn't see Mama Bear for
Yeah.
7 years. Baby bro didn't see mom for 7 years, and we missed a lot of Christmases. We missed, like she said, you miss holidays. You miss,
Yeah.
as an individual like myself, I'm a protector. In nature, I protect family. I've always been like that, and I couldn't be out there to protect mom. Couldn't be out there to protect baby sis from things she was going through. Your
Yeah.
family life still carries on, and so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you
Okay.
remember? Okay, let's talk about the story of finally when I was starting to almost get out of the penitentiary. I told you, and then I actually this is a cool story. I actually got out and I actually surprised her at her work. That was what was that? What was that feeling? Because you just like I told you I might not be getting out here soon. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I show up to the work. How was that?
Well, let me rewind a little bit.
All right.
So, like, um, I'm not going to give names or anything, but John was accused of something really bad when he was 13. And when he got locked up as an adult, they sent him to a facility for like rapists and child molesters and all this stuff. They sent him there wrongfully because of something that was happened when he was 13. So I remember just not being able to like really talk to the people. He called me up one day and he's like, they're going to try to make me take these classes. And if mom, you got to send these papers. Well, my stuff was in storage and I don't even know what box it was in. I freaked out because, I'm thinking they're going to kill him. They are going to kill him. They're going to do like mutilate him, and he was like, I can't get this label in here. And, he never did anything wrong. So here we go again, him being accused of something he didn't do. And so I had to go to Golden Courthouse. Had to get the papers. I had to get them faxed. And so, when you just don't know if you're going to get a call from the warden, that there was a really a murder, or, you don't know what's going to transpire.
Yeah.
It's not fun. So the day that John got out, I remember I worked for Jefferson County WIC, and I remember I was on the phone, and my coworker, she's like, "Hi, can I help you?" And he must have told her that he was here for me, and she recognized him. So I was on the phone and I was doing an appointment, and he walked in, and I just kind of like glanced up and glanced back down, and then I looked up again, and it was like, dang, That is like the greatest feeling. I was like, what? And he came in at the perfect time. It was my lunch break. So my friend took he and I to this Asian place called Tots. And we went to go eat and got to spend a whole hour with him. And then he had to go back and report. But let me tell you something. When you get out of prison, you're still not free because you still belong
Speak
to the
about that.
system.
Speak
Let me,
about that.
I am going to tell them, trust and believe. I tried to go stay with my son. He was in, they give him about $100, and this is when he first got out. Now, this is when you first got out. This is when your probation officer set you up and you had to go back and you end up doing your whole time. The first time he got released, he was in a halfway house and he was working. He was doing landscaping. And I remember his boss called me personally and told me, man, your son's a fast learner. I see potential in him. He is going places with this. And he
Yeah.
really liked John. The probation officer that he had, she was a jerk. She could care less. So she went and told him, he had called me and said, "Hey, where's John? I haven't, I've been trying to get a hold of him. We had a real bad snowstorm. There wasn't work for a couple of days." And she went and told him that John went back to prison. And he's like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, he went back to prison." So John didn't end up showing up for work. And they're real tight. When you get out, you're not free. Trust
Yeah.
me. You have to make every appointment. If you don't, they can plant stuff on you. Trust me, you do not want to go to prison because you will be on probation unless you kill your number right then and there. You do your time, you kill your number, whatever. If you don't and you're on probation, you're in a halfway house. Trust me, if you don't have people that have transportation that are going to live for you, you're on your own, it's bad news.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, they were already ready to destroy his property, all his clothing, everything. They already had it ready to be put in the fire, to be burned up. That's it.
Let
And
me get
he,
this
and I,
charger real quick, Mom.
all
Chop it
right,
over.
go ahead.
Let me get this charger real quick.
So anyway, I remember, I wanted to go stay with my son, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's in his hotel. Okay, so I'm gonna go stay there with him. The worst thing you can hear from your kid is, "Mom, you got to go. You can't stay here." I'm like, isn't a parent supposed to be telling their kid that when they get older, like, you got to go, you can't stay here? Well,
Yeah.
John told me that. He's like, you can't stay here. I can't have nobody living here. I can't have nobody living here with me. My probation officer can come at any time, and then that's going to be sanctioned against me. When you are on probation, the probation officer comes anytime they want to, any hour of the night. You better open that door. That was my house. He was living in my house. We ended up moving together, he and his wife and myself. They came at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, because they want to make sure that he's doing what he needs to do and you ain't got drugs and alcohol, you know, in your home, no firearms, nothing that's affiliated with something that's going to cause you to go back to prison and get arrested. And we didn't
And
have nothing to hide. They'll go through your drawers. Trust me. As a mom, they went through my drawers and I'm not even on probation.
this is her house, people. 2 o'clock in the
That's right.
morning. They're pulling people out of their sleep. This is the
Hmm.
domino effect that comes from your actions, from us going and getting
Yeah,
a number, a DOC number. 2 o'clock in
right.
the morning, Mama Bear, they pulled her out. They pulled her out of her place of peace and acted like she's a criminal, which my
Right.
home officer was nice. He was a good dude, but they
Yeah,
had
he
the
was.
luxury to do that to her, you know.
Yeah.
So
And they have a right to do that. I mean, there's no, if, and like they say, if you ain't got nothing to hide, then you shouldn't have nothing to worry about. So,
and
and I didn't have anything to hide, but
I had the gang coordinator, the gang parole officer. I was on gang files, so they intensely do it.
and they knew because he was also Uncle Dondo's probation officer at one time as well. Remember?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
was. So they knew me. They knew me as a nephew of ex convicts. My whole
Mhm.
every male, there's a lot of people in our family that's been to the penitentiary.
But
That's
let me
why
tell you this too, son.
go ahead.
They'll change your probation officer like this. You could have a really good probation officer, someone who really wants to see you make it here out on these streets, and they can transfer you to a real jerky probation officer who don't give a care and want to see you go back. Because remember when we moved to Arvada?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lady probation officer, and nothing against female probation officers, but this lady was a jerk. And she did everything in her power. And I believe because God will open doors that no man can close. So no matter what she tried, it didn't work. God had your back.
100%. And it's been a long road per se for all of our family. Like that's the biggest aspect to the youngsters. Like it just doesn't affect you when you're fighting your case. And this is what I was trying to stress. You
Hmm.
get out, you're gonna be labeled for the rest of your life.
Yep.
You're gonna be persecuted for the rest of your life. You're gonna try to get jobs and get fired because they can't hire you. This could be 20, 30 years down the road. You got
Yep.
that background, you don't ever get to live normal. And you got to understand that, youngsters. Like this is not just you go into the pen and then it's over. You've seen a
Right.
lot of stuff.
Mm-mm.
You see me,
Nope.
I cried to Mama Bear about different situations in my life and how I'm affected as a grown man because I want to do good, but society does not care about, they don't have pity on that. And
Right.
how like how much times have you seen like it be affected? How much times have you seen your sons be affected by the prison aspect?
Ever since you guys been out. I mean, it just even like when you were trying to do good, when you went, this was blew me away because I always thought like, nah, they'll give him a chance. I remember he went to go apply at Taco Bell. This was 16th Street Mall, and he went in there very respectful. He said, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you guys hire felons here?" And she looked at him and she said, "Nah, we don't hire. We only hire good people."
Straight to my face.
Straight, don't know nothing about his ethics, don't know about, he's trying to change, he's changed his life, he did his time, you know what I mean? But you wear that label, they don't even know you. Soon as they see felon, you got that on your record, you got that label as a bad person,
Mm. But I'm gonna
you
tell you
know.
like this, man. Out of everybody, mom has been in my corner, and I appreciate that so much, mom. Like you don't know how much it means to me. And out of everybody, out of more than any gang banger that I ever was close to, this lady right here, Mama Bear, she's the one that we fight for to continuously do good because she was fighting for us when we couldn't with prayer. Prayer always was the answer. Prayer,
Yeah.
like they say, prayer is really you speaking into existence. She prayed for me since I was 16 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, and it barely her prayers got answered because I gave my life to the Lord. I gave my life to the
Yeah.
Lord because of her
And
prayers.
what's crazy, let me rewind back to how this all started. So I got involved with John's dad. um I think I was young. I was 19, and I had my son when I was 21. I was in an abusive relationship, and when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't have nothing going for me at that time, and suicide crossed my mind. But I believe that God had to send me somebody in my life. John was my lifeline. God knew that I needed something greater than just to say, you have a purpose to live. Because at that time in my life, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a relationship with God. I got married. I had a baby out of wedlock. I wasn't living for God. You will not make it in this world without God. And, suicide crossed my mind. I did not want to be here. And,
That's
um,
crazy for me to hear as your son because you always been the stronghold. Like I can't even
yeah.
comprehend that.
Oh
That's
no,
I
I
can't
wasn't
fathom.
strong at that time, and I knew that I could not take my life. That's why I believe God put you in my life, because I knew now you are pregnant. You cannot kill this baby. You
Mm,
you 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 can't kill yourself because this baby's inside of you. And
man.
John was my reason to live. And so when I was 4 months pregnant with him, I got like almost had appendicitis and I had to go to the hospital. They had to remove my appendix. And I told the doctor because they said, we don't know if the baby's going to live. There's a good chance the baby might not survive. And I said, if my child does not live, do not wake me up. Do not bring me out of the anesthesia. Just, I need to go. And God knew. And they were like, oh, your baby's fine. And da 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 da. When he came out, I remember the day he was born. I was like, this kid has blue eyes, blue gray eyes. He had blue gray eyes and a big dimple. I was calling everybody. I was so happy. Yeah. And that was my reason to live. He was my reason to live. So, God already had a plan for his life. He was my lifeline. And then, being his mom, I had to, when I gave my life to God, John was 3 years old. He was 3 years old. And so, I've been praying since he was 3 and he's 37 now. 37, right?
38
30,
now. I
38.
just turned 38.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm getting
38.
old, people.
So
Savage Sam's getting
38,
old.
and that was 34 years ago, when I started praying for him. And I always knew that God had a plan for his life. But, nobody is perfect. No parent is perfect. You're going to make mistakes along the way. But I can tell you, praying for your kid is never a mistake. Praying for your kid is vital. It is important. But you have to establish a relationship with God yourself into understanding that prayer is very, very important. And it's part of life. It's part of your lifeline,
Yeah.
because God does hear prayers. And I don't know how many times I've been praying for my kid, like, please, like all those nights, I was just like, oh, I do not want to get that call. I don't want to get that call in the middle of the night that he was, killed. And we did get the call. I did get the call, at 1:30 in the morning that he was shot. And thank God it was all God that he lived, because God had to allow John to go through, he had to allow John to go through what he went through. And, there's consequences. There are consequences for your actions. Every choice you make has a consequence
Yeah.
to it. And there is a consequence. So his choices that he made in life, to become a gang member, an active gang member, landed him in prison. And even when he got out, there still was a lot of drama. There still was a lot of, there still was a lot of anger. There still was a lot of stuff. And there still was a lot of fear, on my part as a mom, because I don't know like where we're going to be at, and somebody's going to recognize him or he's going to recognize somebody. You can't even go to dinner and be comfortable,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
that's the big thing of your actions will domino effect to your future, is because she can vouch for me and she's a witness. I had a lot of enemies, youngsters. I built a lot of enemies because I always wanted to be the top dude that everybody knew as this active dude, and everybody knows. I've been with my mom, and this is not smart. And I started tripping with mom there. I started tripping on foods from other side with mom there, and my mom's in the middle of all this, and I'm not thinking it's just me being an active fool that used to trip on everything.
Hmm.
And after, how about have you heard about the testimonies? Me running into my enemies, me running into fools I used to trip, and God opened the door for me and these dudes to talk and be like, dang. And they'd be like, Sav, you're not the same individual no more. You're not
Right.
that person. I know
Yeah,
you as Sav Loke.
never would have thought I'd hear that testimony, when he came across his arch rival, and they were at the same workout place, and he was already serving God. And he came home and he told me, he goes, Mom, you're not going to believe who I ran into today. And I'm like, who? And he's like, one of my top arch rivals. And he told me who it was. And he says, and the dude told him, like, I'm not in that lifestyle no more. I have a little girl. And, they were actually even able to squash whatever and shake hands and part ways. They're not like best friends now, like, homeboys, but they left it on a good note. And that's the work of God. That ain't nothing else but the work of God.
And see,
you know.
if it wasn't that, and this is the thing you got to think about, if it wasn't that
Mhm.
aspect, and that fool was still, he had hatred for me, my life could have potentially got took,
Yep.
because I'm not participating in all the craziness, but my life could have got took because me and this dude at the time, we really didn't see eye to eye, where it was whatever. There was no passes. That's what I'm saying, from both sides. You've seen
Mm.
me, I'm slipping with family, kids, grandpas, grandmas. They're gonna try to bring harm to my life.
Yeah.
And me and this dude, God actually prepared that, man. And it was because the prayer of you. I actually give the aspect, all the prayer, it put a protection on your son's life,
Yeah.
even your baby son, even your other son. You know, mom kept my other brother in prayer, and my other brother, everybody knows this. He just recently had got shot where he was in a coma. He was fighting for his life. He was
Yeah.
fighting for his life, and I'm right by the bedside of my baby bro, the one I raised, fighting for his life on life support.
Right.
Mom's prayers, our prayers, he's here walking. He's here walking. He shouldn't be here. He took so much.
Amen.
He took so much blood in his lungs.
Ugh.
He
Nobody
shouldn't.
gets shot 4 times and lives through that, like, really,
And
honestly.
this
That was
this is
all God.
this is recently. You
And he
know.
had a lot of people praying for him. There's power in prayer. Prayer moves the hand of God. But, for any youngster that may be watching this live stream, if you think being a gang member is something to be proud of or be a part of because you think you're going to have status, there's a price that comes with that. There's a big price that comes with that, not just for you, but for your family members. And there are people you probably do care about. So when your kids get locked up, your moms get locked up right along with them. Your family members that care with get locked up right. Or I was incarcerated with my son because you got to think about putting money on their books. You got to make time to accept their calls. They don't get to call, just they only get a certain time that they can call. And if that call is missed, oh well, you got to wait till the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if they're even allowed to call. Because if someone messes up in prison, guess what? The whole yard is getting messed up. They're getting put in the hole. They're getting put on lockdown for a whole
See,
month.
you don't get to talk to your peoples when you're on lockdown. People, you don't get the luxury of phones. So you
And
don't.
you
Your mom.
don't, that's
It
right.
affects your mom and the people that love, because they're like, "What's going on with my son?" Like, I haven't heard from him
Yeah.
in weeks.
Hmm.
Another
Yep.
thing is too, you got people. You're locked up. A family member passes away. You don't get the message from, like, it might be related from your family, but being behind them walls, you're not going to get the message that your family member passed
Yep.
away.
When my
Grandpa
dad
Roy,
died,
Grandpa
when
Roy,
my
tell him about
when my
Gramps.
father died, we called the prison. And they want to be rude as heck with you, they can be rude as heck with you. Oh, we might give them the message. We'll let them know. My son didn't find out about his grandfather dying till probably like a week and a half later, after he passed away. And they don't let you come out to go to the services. They
Mm,
will not let you out. Like, I've heard of people that I know, people that have been in prison and their mom passed away. They did not get to come to the service and say goodbye to their mom. So the gang life is no life. The gang life is no life. I could tell you that. I never got involved in being in a gang member, but my kids were active gang members, very high status. And trust me, it's no fun. It's
yeah.
no fun as a parent, but I thank God that both of my boys are still here with me today. My daughter's still here with me today, you know, and God has big plans, but God is your only answer in this lifetime, because the devil's here to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's it. That's real talk right there. He don't
Yeah.
care nothing about you.
Yeah. So this was kind of cool, man. Shout out to Mom Bear. Like, we just, this wasn't planned. I just told her, I said, you know what? They might want to hear they might want to hear a different perspective. Like, cause I'm gonna start doing these from, like, people that are, like, not in the streets, gangbangers, but have the perspective of being still domino effect from actions of, like, us and what they gotta go through in emotional situations.
Yeah.
And it's one thing, like, I really, really respect, because, like, no matter what, it don't matter how bad we were, you were always in our corner. You didn't never give up. It don't matter how much we put you through, you never gave up. And even after the penitentiary, it's been such a road up the hill for your sons and me, and even Lady Sev.
Mhm.
You seen the all aspects, and one thing I could say is that you never left our side, and I really appreciate. I love you for that. Very
Yeah,
very much.
I love you too. I would never leave your side, and you're not always going to see eye to eye with your kids. Even as young kids, as adults, John and I don't we don't always see eye to eye, you know. So, but I can tell you this, we've had a lot of laughter and we've had some good times, and I thank God for that. And I just believe it's God that keeps the glue going, connected, keeps us connected as a family. I can't speak for other families, but I know that my kids are there. If something was to go down, I know my kids would be the first ones there. I know they would be. And so it's a blessing. And it's a blessing to know that I can wake up in the morning and my son, I can call him if I want to say hi. When you're locked up in prison, you can't call your mom and say hi. You can't have mom's home cooking. You have to eat prison garbage food. That's
Yeah,
what you get to do. You have to eat prison garbage food, and on visit day, if you're blessed enough to have a family member go visit you, you still have to eat, vendor food. You don't get to eat no hot homemade foods, nothing like that. So, you know, it's crazy. It is crazy. I remember we got to see John. He got a special visit for Christmas one time, and it was
oh,
me. It was
I think.
me,
Hey, hold
his
on, hold on.
sister.
I want to show you something real quick. Since we're talking
Okay.
about that, hey, don't be. Hey, you guys don't be laughing. Don't be laughing at me either. I gotta.
So
I
yeah,
finished.
my daughter was pregnant at the time, and we got to go visit John. We got to go visit John, and it was really nice. But it's never the same. Christmas in prison, no, it
Because
ain't fun.
you'll have actually a good visit, and then the hardest part is seeing your
Saying
family
goodbye.
gotta walk out the doors.
Woo!
You know.
Yep, yep. And not being able, you can't. They only give you so many seconds to hug your loved ones goodbye. That's it.
Um. I don't know where them pictures are, but it was a picture of me, you, and Alicia when
Uh
we
huh.
took our pictures together on at
Yeah,
when.
we had pink shirts on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I had it. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah. And then the horror stories that you hear as a parent coming from your kid when he gets out, like telling the parents, you really don't know what your kids are facing in there. You really don't know what the lifestyle is in there, you know, um, how it really is in there, what they go through. And I'm going to tell you this, if your kids don't have all the necessities that they need, you definitely don't want them borrowing from other people because it is no joke.
That brings a lot of problems.
It
Um,
does.
so
It
what?
does.
To finish this off, we'll close it out. What are you doing? Like what's your church? What's your ministry like? What do you do? You just have a Bible study and stuff that you do? Like, do
Um,
you do your Bible
so
study still?
for my ministry is just reaching out to people. I have a Bible study that I do on Saturdays at my house for with grandma and my friend Ashley and anybody else who wants to come. But my ministry is reaching out to people, being there for people, praying for people. That's my ministry. What I'm
The
involved
prayer
now.
warrior. Her and wifey, Lady said, they're the biggest
Oh
prayer
yeah,
warriors I know. So if
yeah.
you guys need prayer, definitely. If you guys need prayer for anything, leave it in my comment section. I'll relate it to my mom. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And she'll pray for you guys. And she's a prayer warrior. When I say prayer warrior, she gets down to business. It ain't none of this beta sentimental thing. It's getting down, going to spiritual aspect. And I done had it on. I done had her go to war for me. So I know it works definitely.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yes. Praise God. He gets all the glory though.
So we got some people in here. They're all sending their love, respect to you. Hey,
Um,
yeah, this is Mama Bear. They said Mama said Mama said
Mama
um
Sev, Lady Sev, Mama Sev, and and Sev.
Tomorrow, sounds good. Hey, keeping it real, okay, cuz it does. I mean, that's what. If you guys have any questions, we're gonna be on here for a couple more minutes. But yeah, man, you guys showing a lot of love. I appreciate the support and everything. Raider fan here can't do Mile High. Salute. Have a respect to your moms. Shout out to the homie. You know what I'm saying? Still, it's Mile High salute to you, Rada. They're all talking, man. This is a good chat because everybody's saying the prayer aspect, so but
Yeah, prayer
fam.
works.
That's my
I know testimony after testimony. Prayer works.
nah
Prayer
nah nah
works.
Ghost. That's the homie, bro. That's the homie, Rada. That's the homie, Ghost. Uh, but yeah, we probably gonna close out. Yeah, Mall High Hustle's the homie. We're probably gonna close out. I appreciate everybody pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Mall High salute to everybody. Um, they want us to do a part two. There might be a part two here coming soon. We might Mama Bear and Seth might start the podcast. you know, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. To the youngsters, go back and listen to the message. If you guys didn't pull up, go back and listen to what it brings upon the family and the emotional warfare, and you'll get something out of it. But more I salute
Yes,
to
please,
everybody.
please listen to all you youngsters out there thinking about becoming hardcore gang members. It's going to get you two places: under the ground or in prison for life or for 20 or more. The other thing I can tell you and leave with you, if you don't remember anything from this segment, listen to people who have positive input in your life, that want to see you go places, that want to see you do something conducive with your life. You have a plan and a purpose already.
Yeah,
God created you with a plan and purpose in mind. Whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't change the fact that God is who he is, and he is the creator of you. And so there's a plan and a purpose. But if you listen to negative input, that's what's going to result in your life: negativity. That's
yeah,
that's that's real talk right there.
and you got it. The one and only Mama Bear. More high salute. And next time we're gonna have to get you to do a song on here, one of your songs, because she writes
Oh,
music. Don't let her fool you. Mama Bear writes music. She actually got some slappers, so we might have to have you perform on here. You know what it is, Mom. I appreciate it. Love you, and I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna let this live. I'm gonna uh end the live, but hey, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
well, this was fun. I'm glad I had a day off.
Already, you already know. I'm gonna call you. Love you. Bye.
Okay, love you too.